here we go. Around this turn again. It's always fun. I just put up that danger sign right there, actually. You know, people were running right off the end of the road into that bush. Welcome back, YouTubers. As you can see, I got my Ford hat on. That can only mean one thing. Today's video is going to be all about the car under the cover. You can see it right here. She's a classic. She's a beauty. She goes low and she goes slow. At least that's the way I drive it. Stay tuned. 1955 Ford Crown Vic glass top. That's right. It's got a glass top. Coming up. As some of you knew, you let me know you knew what kind of car it was. I said put it down in the block. Most of you guys are family members, so you've seen this car a time or two. For the rest of you, I'll give you a quick overview of the car. 1955 Ford Crown Vic, glass top, so it's actually called a Skyliner. And I'll take you in there, let you see. Actually, we'll pop you over. You can see through it. It's plexiglass. You can see up through it. It's like, you know, a huge sunroof from the 50s, 55. So I'm gonna give you a quick little walk around. Let's look at the car, and then you know, I'll go into detail. She was my father's car, you know, family car. I say it was. You know, it's always gonna be my father's car. I'm just the caretaker of the car. So like I said, it's my father's car. You know, he had it, I believe he bought it back in I think 89, 88. You know, I talked to him about it. He doesn't really remember exactly the year that he bought it. I do remember as a wee lad going with him to look at the car. I specifically remember the garage that it was in. It seemed like it was just a huge garage, and it was full of cars, and it was dark. And all the cars had covers, and you know, we went in searching for the car, you know, pulling covers, looking at the old cars that the person that he bought it from had, and he had a bunch. So that's a good memory of mine from back when I was a young man. Ever since my father bought the car, I claimed it for my own. So all my brothers and sisters, they knew that this car was eventually going to be my car, and they didn't argue. So it was just kind of weird, because, you know, my family, they like to argue from time to time. You know, that's what families do. So, you know, that's a little bit of the history of the car. I'll take you a walk around again. Let you look at the cool stuff, you know, little details, little V8 emblems, I should say. Those I've replaced those. The original, I kept the original ones. The original ones are all faded out here, you know. Just think, you know, new ones with the red looks good with the Y. If you haven't noticed, it's got the Y. It's got a Y block in it. Moving down here, these rims are Krager SS's, as you can see, and these rims are you know, fairly special. My father got these for his birthday, and I remember for the longest time these rims sat in the box in the garage, you know, just hanging out. And then, you know, after I left and joined the military, my father decided to put the Kragers on the car. So I always remember the car having the old hubcaps, and I have the hubcaps in the back in the trunk. I'll show you what the hubcaps look like. But yeah, so he put these Kragers on after I left. You know, my father and I, we went to a lot of car shows. My mom also, you know, she went too. We went to a lot of car shows with this old girl. He won a good bunch of them. Got some trophies. Unfortunately, I don't have the trophies. I don't know where they went. But you know, back in the '90s, you know, she was winning shows. So we'll move along down the line. You know, these are, I hadn't replaced those yet. There's another Ford symbol, and then, you know, Crown Vic. And you know, I put some Go Fast stickers on here just to, you know, spruce it up a little bit. You know, she's got, you know, NGK spark plugs. I put a thrush exhaust on it. Got it from Summit, Motion Pro, bearings and whatnot. Again, here we go. We're down here in the other Krager SS. As you can see, you know, they've got pits, but you know, they're sentimental tires. I thought about, you know, getting a new set and throwing them on there, but you know, the history and everything behind them, I'm gonna leave them. You know, the car it's not a show car. It's not a 100% restored. You know, she shows her age. There's some paint chips and whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna, you know, it's gonna be nice. It's a nice driver. She's a good driver. So that's how I'm gonna leave it. You know, we can pop up here. I'll show you. She's got some damage on the chrome, but I remember my father picking the car up and it had that damage on the chrome. So, you know, he didn't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I like, you know, I like character. And that's what it is to me. Some good old character. It's starting to sprinkle. If it rains anymore, I'm gonna pull her inside. But it's sprinkling. It's Georgia. It happens. I did, however, I went and bought a new Krager and a new tire to match the other 4 to go on the back, because you know, the old tire with the hubcap just didn't look right. So I basically just bought a new Krager SS to match and a tire to match. And I did happen to find on eBay, Evil Bay, because it's evil, a 1955 Georgia license plate that I restored to put on the car. You know, not to point out all the bad spots on the car, but you know, there's some paint chipping and stuff right there in the corner. You know, the bezels, they're rusted. You know, I'm gonna get a new set of those for it. You know, that's fairly easy. Just finding them. You know, finding a good set is the hardest part. And then, you know, look down the side, man, the car's straight. She's good. Now this door down here, as you can see, well, maybe you can't really see the way the lighting is, but there's some rust bubbles. It's gonna need some attention fairly soon. Sooner rather than later. I was hoping later, but I feel you know, it's gonna need some attention. So, you know, that's actually that's the worst thing on the car, actually. And that's not that bad. It's you know, some body work. All right, you can see paint chips. I'm leaving them. Got some paint chips here. It's gonna stay. It adds character. If people have a problem with it, too bad, really. You know, if you're that guy that comes up and says, hey, your car has paint chips on it, and you know, it would look better if it was repainted, well, you know, then don't come talk to me. But if you want to talk about, you know, the car and the history behind the car and all that other good stuff, you know, by all means, come up. You know, I'll have a conversation. 1955, this car was one of 1,999 made, and that's because of the glass roof, the glass top, also called a Skyliner. The guys back in the day, they call them glass top Vickies. So yeah, that's the car. So like I said, my father bought it in '89 and or '88, not really sure. We drove it to a lot of shows and whatnot, and actually he drove it. Nobody ever drove this car besides him. I think my mom may have backed it out of the garage once. I drove it once before he let me have it, and that was a long time ago. That was like early 2000s. I was in the military. I came home, we went to a car show. He had a Model A at the time. I believe he drove, oh no, he might have drove a Studebaker. He also has a couple of Studebakers. I believe he took a Studebaker, and my brother-in-law drove the Model A, and I drove this. And unfortunately, when I drove this down there to the car show, it was a local show, it was close, it started to overheat. So it did have some overheating problems, had some, you know, the engine was getting tired. This was, you know, like I said, late 2000s. So my father decided that he wanted to pull the engine, pull the transmission, pull the radiator, and just basically have everything rebuilt. And that's what he did. And so if you look here on the windshield, obviously he had it registered in New York. In 2007 is when it was last registered. So him and his buddy pulled the engine out, pulled the transmission out, pulled the radiator out, sent him off, had him rebuilt. And then when they got him back, they put him back in the car, put everything back in the car, and they could never get the car back running. So the car basically sat from 2007 until just a couple, about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, my father, unfortunately, he's getting up there in age, and he's unable to keep care of the cars. They're sitting in the garage. It was just kind of wasting away. So after years and years of nagging by my mom and myself, he finally let loose of the car. So he let me bring it down here to Georgia, and I started working on it. And like I said in my previous video, there's not a lot of information out there on this old girl. There's not a lot of videos, not a lot of step-by-step type stuff. I bought a book, like I said, a manual. My father actually also, he has he gave it to me, a parts manual, which helped out tremendously. Every piece of this car is in that 1955 manual. The manual that I bought was a repop manual, but it's 1955 specific. So it gives you step-by-step stuff. So I got it down here, shipped it down here, and went to work on it. Put it in my garage, backed it in my garage. I had to buy a shed to put all the crap that was in my garage in the shed to make room for the car. So yeah, anyways, backed it in the garage and went to working on it, trying to figure out what to do, how to do it. It's a 6-volt car. It's not been changed over to 12 volts. I'm gonna leave it 6 volt because I'm asking for trouble. So I should change it, but I'm not going to. I think I want to keep it as original as he had it. So yeah, there's the car. I brought it back, started working on it. I realized that the grounds for the electrical system, they were no good, so I had to go through and redo grounds, and I redid battery terminals. I'll pop the hood, and I'll let you see underneath the hood and see what I'm talking about. All right, I got the hood open. I'll let you see what I was talking about. I did go and buy a 6-volt Optima battery. They actually have them. They're out there. So it's got a nice Optima battery in it. And I did go ahead and put a 6-volt alternator in there, so I didn't have to worry about the generator, and I bypassed all the electro-digital stuff over here that's now disconnected, but it's still there. I didn't want to take it out. So as you can see, I got these big huge lines. This is ground, obviously, to your starter solenoid, and then another one going down to your starter. You know, it turns the car over, turns the motor over, you know, pretty good. You know, that's one of the problems with the 6-volt system, is that, you know, it just doesn't turn the car over fast enough to get it started. But with that optimal battery and those cables and better grounds, it turns it over pretty well. Not, you know, it's definitely not 12 volt, so, you know, don't expect it to go wah, 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 wah. It goes so, and then as you can see underneath the hood, those aren't power brakes, unfortunately. No power brakes. These are all manual drum brakes, and no power steering. Oh boy. You know, it's fine when you're going down the road, but you know, in the parking lot, in the driveway, trying to get in and out of the garage when you got little space. Yeah, she's a bear. She is a beast. You know, this is when men were men. You know, come back from World War II, they wanted cars. Here you go. This is it. You know, this is one of the creme de la creme of Ford when they, you know, back in '55. So whoever ordered this car, whoever bought this car, you know, they got some weird options. So no power brakes, no power steering, but for some reason they ordered power windows. It's kind of weird. Now I know my father has said that he's seen a few other, you know, 55 Fords and 56 Fords with power windows, but I haven't. I don't remember seeing any with power windows. So, you know, I think that makes this car a little bit special. The odd setup is, you know, it's kind of weird. But so yeah, you know, I was in here. I basically you know, I had to redo all the wires, you know, the distributor. When my father and his buddy put it back together, his buddy is a Chevy guy, so everybody knows the Chevys are timed and the cylinders are different. At least I thought everybody knew that. Apparently he didn't. So they tried to set this car up like a Chevy, and with the firing order and all that other stuff, and like I said, my father and him, they never got it back running. So it's basically a brand new rebuilt engine, just, you know, years later. So I'm gonna go on in old interwebs. I figured out the firing order, the distributor. I reset the points, cleaned the points. It's got a new coil in there. You know, basically the whole ignition system, and I still need to do some work on the ignition system. It runs, it's running really rich. I think I have the distributor one tooth off, because when I go to time it, the timing with the timing light, the lines just don't meet up with the arrow. I turn the distributor to where it's supposed to. When I do that, it runs like crap. So I believe I'm one tooth off on the distributor. I need to pull it out, turn it just a hair, and put it back in. So that's gonna be one of the projects. We're gonna go through and time this thing again for like the 18th time, maybe. I'm not sure. So I've done it a bunch, is what I'm saying. So I did that. You know, I've had the carburetor off a few times. I had to redo the choke down here. The choke was stuck. Carburetor. You know, believe it or not, the accelerator pump worked perfectly. I didn't have to do anything with that, which I figured that was going to be an issue, but it wasn't. So yeah, I done that, got it running. You know, it took me a couple weeks to get her actually fired up. But you know, she ran. It ran like crap, but you know, it's getting better. You know, it's like I said, it's totally redone. So it's got a break-in period, and I had to go through and reset the you know, these things under the valve covers, you know, the valve lash. That's what it is. That's what I had to do, because it was ticking. There was lots of ticking underneath there. And so I had to go back. I had to pull those off and reset the valve lash. So it doesn't tick. Every once in a while you'll hear a tick. So I might have gotten one just a little further out than I should have, but that's pretty much, you know, I cleaned up some of the wiring. You can see there's zip ties and stuff in there. I cleaned up the wiring, and you know, obviously I've changed the oil a couple times since it's new. Just did some nice tidying stuff up, you know, a little bit of black spray paint here and there, you know, just to pretty it up a little bit, but not too much. I had to put all this back together also. All this was taken loose. My father never got around to putting that back together. I mean, you know, why put this together if he thought that he might have had to take the engine back out? So I went ahead and, you know, I put all this stuff back together, did you know, fix the wiring and stuff down in there. So that's what I've done under the hood. Outside of the car, the brakes have been giving me fits. They're drum brakes and they're a pain. So I basically have rebuilt all 4 of the brakes, you know, new brake pads, new rubber hoses coming in, the new cylinders, brake cylinders, because they were just shot. You'd go, you know, the first drive, I probably shouldn't have driven it, but you know, I wanted to. So I took it around the neighborhood and, you know, I pushed on the brakes and they basically locked up, and, you know, they were scrubbing the whole way back. Good thing I didn't go far, because they were hot. They were super hot when I got back to the house. So I knew there was brake issues. I went ahead and, like I said, redid all the brakes, all 4 of them, and I still need to bleed the brakes. I think still needs a little bit of adjustment on the left front. I think the left front is grabbing just a little bit more than the other 3, so that still needs some work, and I'll bring you along for that so you can see what I've done. So there's the brakes, there's the tires, all 4 drums. So the other thing that I had issues with, it was up under the hood, was the fuel. You know, like I said, the car sat since 2007. The fuel tank, it was bad. It was really bad. So a fuel line, you can see it all down here. Fuel line comes in from there, hard, and then a filter before the old fuel pumper. And then, you know, I put some new fuel line on here, run it up here. I got this fuel tube here just so I can verify that there's, oh, I need a clamp there. I need to put a clamp on that. Just so I can verify that there's fuel in the system. This is a check valve, one way. You know, fuel comes up, can't go back down. So you know, just to keep the fuel to the carburetor, put that in there. It was recommended, so that's what I did. And so yeah, the fuel tank, it was bad. It was really bad. I took the car for a couple of rides and it would just plug the fuel filter. So I went on the old interwebs, got a new fuel tank for it. See up underneath there? Oh, maybe. Oh, there. Oh, get it up under there like that. You can see the new fuel tanks under there. New straps, you know, just because, you know, straps were cheap, so got some new straps for it. New tank, new straps, new fuel sending unit because the gas gauge didn't work. Yeah, I'll put a few pictures at the end of this video of that fuel tank. It was crazy. I'm surprised that the car ran off the fuel tank at all. You know, I got the car running off from a small tank, you know, sitting in front of the car, and then I went and I hooked up the fuel tank, and yeah, it's a wonder. You know, I siphoned all the old gas out. You know, I at least did that. It was showing half a tank. I'm pretty sure it was a whole lot more than that. You know, it was I gave the fuel to my neighbor down there. He he dumped it on his patio, little fire pit thing, and lit it on fire, and that fuel stunk up the neighborhood for probably at least 3 days. That's how bad it was. So yeah, I took it out, gave it to him. He, you know, he wanted to burn it, so he did. What else have I done? Oh, the exhaust. So my father, so I'll bring it back up underneath the hood. My father, he went and purchased these headers. These guys here, they're red headers, red headers, you know, something like that. Yeah, so he bought those headers, put the headers on the car when he obviously put it in, but the rest of the muffler system, it was pretty bad. So there's holes in it all over the place, and you know, it sounded that way. So I took the car and had a muffler system put on it. The Thrush mufflers, like the sticker on the side says, you know, that gives it 10 more horsepower. So I had the exhaust done, and then the very last thing, I guess, is the paint. So when I pulled it out of the garage, as you can imagine, it was dirty. You know, he didn't store it with a cover on it, and the garage is, you know, was left open. So there's some dust and dirt, lots, you know, dust and dirt was on it. So I went ahead and did the car, buffed the paint out. You know, it came back around. You know, I think it looks good. It's definitely a lot better than it looked. And you know, I'll put those pictures at the end of the video also, so you can see, like, you know, we pulled it out, the hood was off from it. I'd put the hood on it before we could ship it, and you know, it's just, it was looking a little sad. But she's a good car. You know, we all love her, you know, the whole family. You know, they're happy to see that I got it. It's down here, it's running, it's driving. So to include my father, you know, he asks about it all the time. Did I take it to a show? You know, down here in the summertime, it rains almost every day, it seems. So if there's a chance of rain, she stays in the barn. And you know, she stays in the barn because the window seals, they're just not existent right now. So that's another thing that I have to do. I have to do the window seals. Also the headliner. I have my father bought a headliner for it, and the headliner needs to get done. I do know that the headliner is pre-cut and all the good stuff, so I might just try to tackle that myself. You know, this is a do-it-yourself channel, but you know, on the old car, you know, I want stuff done right. So not that it's a show car, not that it's gonna go win Pebble Beach or anything like that, but you know, I want it done right, and I want it to look professional. And you know, I don't know if I can make it look professional. So I'm gonna pull you inside, pull you in the car. You can get an idea of what the old 50s stuff looked like. Nice big giant thin steering wheel with a horn in the center, no buttons, as you can imagine. All your stuff is over here. We got wipers. They're vacuum, they're ran by a vacuum, which means that those little wipers go and you know, it's dangerous. And the lights, you pull them out for the first setting, and your running lights come on, you pull it out a little further, making sure that you don't pull the handle off. And the headlights come on. You can also adjust it, believe it or not. There's a rheostat in here, turn it back and forth, and it, you know, makes these lights brighter or dimmer. Same over there. And obviously your key, left air vent, the lighter right here. I am you know, I'm not going to push it in ever, because I don't want to burn the car down. And then for you old school people, high-low beam button on the floor, and you know, you got your brake and your throttle, your gas pedal. So, and we're in here. You know, obviously you got your visor, and as you can see, the sunroof, which is nice, unless it's really sunny, and then you feel like an ant under a microscope or a magnifying glass. And we'll bring you back here. And you got your, you know, your heater, your defroster, your blower motor. I don't play with any of this stuff. And then a radio. We'll get this fuzzy dice out of the way. You know, every old car needs a pair of fuzzy dice. Your radio, and then a clock. And that doesn't work. At least I don't think it does. And then we got the Ford script with a little V8 emblem right there. And I did My father had this piece in the glove box, and I found the little V8 emblem for it, so I went ahead and put that on there. And obviously this is the glove box with papers in it, not gloves. I don't know why he put gloves in the glove box, but yeah, got some mothballs. Makes it smell good. And then I went in and you know, I put these guys in here, you know, temperature gauge, because it's, you know, I don't want to overheat the car. And then the volts, it is a 6 volt, like I said, it's 6 volt car, but that little gauge does go over once the alternator kicks in. You can tell that she's putting out power. And then the all important oil pressure over there. You know, like I said, I did put these in here myself. I really didn't want to, but I just could not. I couldn't trust the gauges. You know, this is an oil light here, your generator, which is totally disconnected, and then the temp gauge. You know, I just couldn't trust the 1950s technology stuff that, you know, reads that stuff. So I went ahead and bought those, and I got a nice little chrome set, put them in the middle, try to make it look nice without being, you know, too obvious. So, you know, I did do that. You know, I really didn't want to. And then, as you can see in the back here, you can see the headliner. The mice got in the headliner, unfortunately. That's why I want to have it replaced or do it myself. I haven't really decided. You know, I'm kind of up in the air. You know, I do need some chrome pieces on the inside of here. They're showing some wear and they're showing their age. And, you know, the back seats, I got some stuff back there, you know, just in case. You know, fire extinguisher, just, you know, just to have. I believe it's actually an insurance requirement. I have the car insurance through Haggerty. Pretty sure it's an insurance requirement to carry a fire extinguisher. I did go in and, you know, I put some, you know, it was a leather treatment. These seats aren't leather, these are vinyl. But it worked. The leather vinyl, it's the Spray Away brand, you know, like I said in the previous videos. Spray Away works really good. And then, you know, I got some, you know, some just in case stuff in the box back here. I got a terry rag for when I go to a show in case I gotta wipe something up. And then, you know, there you go. That's from the car show we went to. I put my dad's name on there because, you know, it's always gonna be his car. There's the back. You know, I did some good cleaning up in here. I took these door pieces off and repainted those. I took the trim around the windshield. I took all that off and repainted that. It was, you know, it wasn't looking too good, so I did that. I took the top parts off also, all the way around. Took the mirror down, cleaned it. You know, that Quad Zero steel wool does a wonderful job on all this old chrome, and don't use it on the stainless too hard, but it does work on the chrome. So, you know, I cleaned a lot of that stuff up with that. You know, I spent hours in here just cleaning, vacuuming, getting mouse houses out, because you know, the glove box was full. That was a mouse hotel at one point, I'm sure. Same with the headliner. There's, you know, there was lots of fun happening there with the mice, you know, multiplying and that good stuff. So same with the mirrors. I took the mirrors off and cleaned them up. All this I cleaned up. The bumpers, oh my lord, the bumpers look magnificent. I did a half and half. I cleaned up half of it, and then I took a picture and the other half showing how dirty it was. And man, that steel wool, it does a good job. So if you need to clean up some chrome, definitely use that, or use an SOS pad on the old bikes. Little tip here on the old bikes, when I pull them out of a barn or a garage, or, you know, under an awning. That's usually where they are, under awnings. First thing I do is I power wash, I get the bike running, and then if I can get it running, then I go at it with a Brillo pad and water. because it cleans it up. It cleans it up beautifully. So that's the Ford. I'm pretty sure I'm not missing anything, hopefully. If I do, you know, somebody will tell me, I'm sure, especially in the family. They, you know, they'll correct me. But other than that, I think I'm gonna, you know, I'll jump in. I'll put you guys next to the exhaust so you guys can hear the rumble of this 272. Oh, almost forgot that. Yeah, she is a 272 Ford V8, obviously. These cars, they came with 272s. They also came with a 292, and for the longest time I believe my father thought this was a 292 until he took and had it rebuilt, and the guy told him it was actually a 272, which is, you know, whatever. It's the smaller engine version, but it is a V8. These did come in V6s. They come with a 2 barrel and a 4 barrel. So this is a 272 with a 4 barrel. 292 would have been nice, but whatever. I think that was an option. And you know, the guy didn't get power brakes or power steering, so why get the bigger motor? Who knows? If you could smell that exhaust, man, she is running rich. She's running richer than the man that owns the company that goes from A to Z. That's how rich that girl's running, boy. Woo, you can smell it. Definitely need to get in there and do some adjusting on the old carburetor. Well, there you go. Got a nice rumble to her. Take you up here so you can, you know, hear it on this side. You might be able to hear that tick. I can hear it every once in a while. It's running much better than it was. Almost sewing machine like. You can hear that tick every once in a while. It's in here. That's one thing I forgot to mention. My father did buy a 5-bladed fan for the car. That might be helping out the cooling issue. So, you know, gas gauge now works. Got that fuel sending unit in there. You know, she's got good oil pressure. We're up to, what is that, 65. You can see the volts a little bit. Yeah, give her a pop of the old throttle. Maybe you can see the volts jump. No, but it's over the 8, so I know she's charging. And, you know, the temperature is up there just a little bit. You know, I didn't really let it warm up too much while I backed it out, but you know, all 3 of those work. It worked nicely. It was a good addition, even though I really didn't want to do it. But you know, security. I didn't want to burn the engine up, overheat. You know, just that's not. I don't want to do that. So. You know, key and she shuts off. No cluck 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 like some of the old cars do. But yeah, and there's the motor again. Good thing about this hood, you just pull her down. Oh, there's no pop. It's so heavy, it closes on its own. That's how heavy the thing is. You just got to make sure you don't get your fingers caught in there. That would be a bad day for sure. You know, like I said in the video, you know, I'm on the hunt for some parts for this old girl. If you know where there's some of these taillight bezels, these guys here, you know where there's a good set of those, maybe even a whole door. I wouldn't be opposed to picking up a door, you know, switching everything over, and then having the door color match painted, so I get away from having to do body work. But you know, if you know where there might be an old parts car, or you know, or where I can get some good quality parts, those taillight bezels my father put on there, and they just, you know, they didn't hold up. So, you know, like I said, I don't have room to store a whole parts car, but if you know where there's a good parts car that I can, you know, steal some parts off from to, you know, store, you know, put away for, you know, the future possibly, you know, go ahead, put it down there in the comment block. You know, maybe your name, phone number, email address. I'll get a hold of you. I'll talk to you, man. You know, I'm always looking for parts. You can never go wrong with new old stock parts or just original parts. You know, some of the repop parts, they're really not that good. So you know, I'm one of the things I forgot to mention, I'm on the hunt for a speedometer cable. The speedometer doesn't work, so I'm assuming when, you know, my father pulled the motor and the transmission and stuff out, that they snapped the cable. It's hooked up on both ends, but it doesn't work. So the way I tell how fast I'm going, I use my phone. GPS tells me how fast I'm going. So, but it would be nice to have the speedometer working. So if you know where there's a speedometer cable, you know, let me know. I'll buy it. We're gonna go ahead and hop in the old girl, take it for a ride, see if we can die by sunlight, you know, because it is sunny, and that glass top, it is a magnifying glass when you're in there riding down the road. So yeah, I'll bring you back when we're sitting inside melting as we're going down the road. You know, no AC, and it's like 90 degrees today. Should be fun, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna add to the list of things to do, figure out why the passenger window won't roll down. So that's wonderful right now while it's hot, and you know, I'm dying sitting here in the car. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, no seat belts in this old girl either, so you gotta make sure you don't hit anything. Ooh, a little bit of air. Ooh, open this vent. Air conditioning right here. 55 miles an hour. Although I'm only doing 5, maybe. Ooh, there we go. Got some air blowing out. Air vents. Whoa, no power steering. Woo. This is a workout. This is a workout today, boy. It's hot. It's like I'm in the gym. Yeah, definitely got to work on the brakes still. They didn't get any better. They didn't fix themselves. here we go. Around this turn again. It's always fun. I just put up that danger sign right there, actually. You know, people were running right off the end of the road into that bush. Oh yeah, here we go through the neighborhood. Back home. Hey look, neighbor got themselves a golf cart. Boy, she doesn't like to turn. Alright, now let's get it in the driveway with it. Wow, hitting a mailbox or 5. She's definitely running better. So we're back from the test drive, and as you can probably hear in the background, the neighbor's having his yard mowed. So just a couple things to add to list to work on. Yeah, passenger side window won't roll down for some reason now. It's working perfectly the whole time. Not working now, so we're gonna add that to the list. And you know, still do some carburetor adjusting because she is running super rich. And that 4-barrel, when it pops on or when it kicks in, the linkage is still getting stuck, so that's not good. I thought I had it fixed, apparently not, so I'll dive back into that. And you know, we'll do all that at the same time, all the engine stuff, we'll do all that stuff at the same time. And but yeah, you know, she's an old car. It's a never-ending project, never-ending things to do. That's why I like it. So I think that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the walk around and the tour of the Crown Vic. She's, like I said a few times, she's a good car. I love her. You know, I liked it ever since I saw it as a wee lad way back in the day in like '89. It's one of my first memories. Yeah, so like I said, I think that's going to do it. If you guys like, tag, share, follow, you know, put it on the old Instagram or put it on the old face space, or you know, let's get it out there. I do appreciate it, and till I see you again next time.